foolishness and a mob mentality. That's the only reason why it's taken so long for these cars to start getting the love that they deserve. If you asked me if you should buy a 996 Porsche Turbo, I would tell you this: do it, love it, and laugh at every single person who still doesn't get why this car is so phenomenal. Because this is absolutely the most incredible Porsche 911 that you can buy for the money. So grab a snack, sit back, because by the end of this, you'll probably be online looking for one of your own. You tell someone you bought a Porsche Turbo and their face lights up like the garbage man when he sees you recycled that week. But then you tell them that it's a 996 Turbo and they look at you like you got a stain on your t-shirt and smell like leftover seafood. What's the deal with that? Well, at least that's how the energy's been around these cars for a very long time. Just a few years ago, you could pick up a 996 Turbo for just $30,000. But back then, I was younger, I was dumber, and I was broker. Not by much though. The point is, back then I was screaming about how much of a deal these 996 generation Porsches were, and today, even though they are double the price, these cars are still an absolute no-brainer to buy right now. Here's why that is. Let's get straight to the pain. In today's market, the original 930 Porsche Turbo costs north of 150 grand. The 964 that followed that generation sells for more than 200 grand. The 993s that came right before these cars sell for around $250,000. The 997 Turbos that came after this car are surging by the day, well over 150 grand. And the newer 991 and 992 generation turbos cost anywhere from $140,000 to $240,000, depending on the year and the specification you roll with. Meaning the 996 generation turbo is the only generation of 911 turbos that you can still buy for less than 6 figures. Are they really that bad? The answer is no, not at all. In fact, there's really only 2 widely talked about reasons to why people don't mess with the 996 generation of Porsches. And one of those reasons is absolute nonsense. The Porsche 911 body has looked the same for well over half a century. And so in 1999, Porsche decided if they're gonna keep the body looking historical, maybe just change one part of the design language. And so we got these. Many refer to them as the fried eggs because in 1999, when the base Carrera debuted, they had headlights similar to this, except at the bottom there was an amber reflector that kind of resembled a running egg. However, by the time the turbo models released in 2001, Porsche had already amended the headlights because of the mass outcry to these. Now, they're not the traditional circular frog eyes, but I definitely think it helped their case. And that's why on the 997 generation that followed these, actually every generation of 911s that followed these, all returned to those circle traditional looking frog eyes. What I'm saying is that one reason people don't like the 996 Porsches is because they straight up think the car is ugly. Shallow, I know. It's a good thing that these cars don't have feelings. To those people, I say don't judge a book by its cover, especially not this one. The other reason people feel sour about the 996 Porsche is because it was the first generation of 911 to ditch the air-cooled engine and go with a water-cooled setup. You see, before the 996, all 911s were air-cooled, meaning that they relied on airflow around the engine to keep things at temperature. It also gave these cars a very distinct mechanical sound. Now, water-cooled engines are more efficient, make no mistake about that, but they also add weight, complexity, and eliminate some of that mechanical sound. Now, the whole water-cooled, air-cooled debacle is the reason I think is actually more bogus, because every 911 after this car is a water-cooled setup, which means that people can't really be that mad at water-cooled engines or water-cooled performance. I think they're just mad that this was the first car to implement that change. All right, so I talked about the bad and the ugly. Let me tell you some reasons why you should absolutely love this Porsche. Finally, now introducing today's specific example. This is a 2001 996 Porsche Turbo painted in a very special Meridian Pearl Metallic. The 996 Porsche Turbo was introduced in the 2001 model year and they ran production through 2005. Throughout that time period, they really didn't change much on the exterior. So whatever model year you get, they pretty much all look the same. The Turbo is known to sit on its wide body chassis instead of the narrow body cars like the standard 911 and the GT3s. The Turbo is also known for being all-wheel drive. Now the 996 Carrera 4S is also built on this wide body chassis and it's also all-wheel drive. Mechanically is where it differs from the turbo model. Up front, you get 3 aggressive front intake grills. On the side of these cars, you'll see the turbo model's signature quarter panel intakes, and around back, there's a deployable rear spoiler. One thing that this specific example does not have is a special X option code, which denoted a factory aero kit. Now, the aero kit cars actually come with a fixed rear wing that looks a little more stern than this one. It also has some painted lower body panels. This car is equipped with the standard exhaust exhaust system that includes dual tips. There was a factory option for a sports exhaust system that had quad tips. It is desirable, however, I wouldn't say it's mandatory because there's a ton of aftermarket units that sound phenomenal. Now for the paint, again, it's called Meridian Metallic, and it looks like a glass of birthday brunch rosé. Although it's not a paint to sample selection, Meridian Pearl Metallic was and is a very special paint color. So how many cars were made? That I don't know, but what I do know is that it wasn't a standard paint choice, it was a special paint choice, which is obviously desirable. And how many of them have you seen? This car sits on a set of factory hollow spoke turbo twist wheels, which became popular during the 993 generation of cars. I think that this is one of the best wheel designs that Porsche's ever made. Now here's where things get spicy, no pun intended. This car was optioned in a special cinnamon flavored leather for about $500. Porsche actually offered black, blue, light gray, and a super odd green color as standard leather choices in the 996 Turbo, and offered special leather choices like Boxster red, cinnamon, natural brown, and dark gray. This car, being a super early model year 2001 car, actually has some aspects in the interior that are different than the later model year turbos. One of those things are these sorry excuse for cup holder mechanisms. They work though. After this model year, that mechanism was revised. Another Easter egg of the 01 cars is that the owner manual is actually located underneath the steering wheel because there was no glove box. This car has what I like to call some character building options. What I mean by that is take a look at all the trim pieces. They're done up in a flavor that Porsche calls light wood. Now light wood was a $2,000 option, however it only covered some of the interior trim. This car's $118,500 window sticker included the shift knob, the handbrake, and the 3-spoke steering wheel. This car is also equipped with the factory sports seats and these hard backs. That was a $1,500 option back in the day. I think that they make the car just feel unified with what that engine is talking about. That is a 420 horsepower twin turbocharged flat 6 engine. Now there actually was a very desirable X50 option. That denotes the power kit. What it got you was upgraded turbochargers, upgraded intercoolers, and pretty much set up this car to make even more power. However, that X50 power kit option was actually more than $12,000 back in the day, which is why most cars don't have it, including this example. This car is all-wheel drive, which started with the 993 generation of Porsche turbos, and that means that this car can put down all 420 birds in a controllable and predictable fashion. But I've done enough yapping. Let's go find out how this Porsche actually drives. And we're off. I mean, it's analog. It's just everything was so much better back in the early 2000s. They started a decade of just driving pureness. This is not about horsepower, but it definitely doesn't lack it. That 420 feels like it's a healthy 420. This car only has 23,000 miles on the clock. Like I said, this wood trim makes you feel like you're in Granny's house. You feel like you're going to Granny's house to get some cookies, watch a movie, maybe get some soup, chop it up, and walk away with a couple $100 in your pocket because you know they had it. Downshift even better. I'm too nice with it. Damn. This car has everything you need. I mean, if you want modern technology, Porsche makes the classic radio for that reason. But it is a phenomenal sports car. I will say, the shifter, if you put a short shift kit on this car, mint. That thing, it's lacking a better shifter, I'll say that. If I had to give it a negative, it would be that. In Meridian Pearl Metallic with these sports seats, how do you get a combo better than that? Pulls. Scary. It's scary, but it's fun. And it's pulling strong, like it's a brand new car. This is an all-wheel drive, 420 horsepower phenom. Dangerous. And if you can find one for a good deal, you can't lose. This is the real deal. I gotta take it easy. You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm at with it. This car is so insane that I gotta take it easy. But again, it's usable. You could daily drive this car. It's all-wheel drive. It doesn't have so much power. I mean, it's got power, don't get me wrong. But if you drive it like a civilized human being, yeah, there's that IMS issue that I don't even know if it impacts turbo 996s. People say it does, some people say it doesn't. It's so overblown, and even if you do worry about it, just fix it, you know? You'll be good. It pulls in every year, truthfully. It's just pure joy and excitement driving this car. That's really what it is. It's pure excitement. It puts a smile on your face. At the end of the day, this is a Porsche 911 Turbo. Every single turbo model you can buy, even with a ton of miles, over 100,000 miles more than this car, you're spending over 100 grand. You can find these cars 60, 70, some of them 50 if they got a lot of miles. But If you want a mint example, we're talking about still $80,000, $90,000 for a car that's as incredible as this. Unbelievable. The 996 Turbo, the last manual Porsche turbo that you can actually buy on a budget. No new 911 Turbo comes with a manual transmission, has power that you can actually use without losing your driver's license quickly, and can be driven without losing so much money that your stomach starts doing flips and you gotta go buy Tums and a bunch of toilet paper. So what do you think? The 996 Turbo was hated because it's ugly and because it introduced technology that's now the common standard on Porsche 911s. I hope that through this video today, I've given you enough reasons to look at the 996 Turbo, and instead of calling it ugly, maybe consider it the best turbo that money can buy. Let me know what you think. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe because we're trying to grow here. Big whistle.